The EU would face a tariff of 30% on most goods, and there are higher tariffs already set, as we know, for steel and aluminium. So these talks are all about trying to bring those down. Now, as you say, 50-50 chance of them actually coming to a deal, according to the President, who said that there were a number of sticking points still in place. Well, I'm joined now by our Scotland correspondent, Ben Phillip, to discuss a little bit about what's at stake. So just tell us where we think things stand at the moment.
Yeah, well, as we know, Donald Trump loves a deal, and when he gets one, he loves to make a big deal about it. As you say, he believes there's a 50-50 chance with the EU to get a trade agreement, and this would be significant because the EU is a huge trading partnership, it's a huge trading bloc, and the US is its biggest trading partner. So the world will be watching very closely to see what happens here, because if we don't see a deal reached, certainly by the 1st of August, that deadline, as you mentioned, that has been set by Donald Trump, it could spark a trade war, which businesses never like to see. But as some EU diplomats have said and suggested, some 15% tariffs might be seen instead.
And Ben, we're just looking at pictures there as we can see the motorcade coming through Turnberry as the President of the EU Commission is heading towards where we are. In fact, that's the road just the other side of where we are standing at the moment. So Ursula von der Leyen arriving now for those trade talks with President Trump. And it's the building just over my shoulder here, which is where she will be heading to. Presumably that's where she will be received by President Trump for those talks. Now, it could be tricky because, Karen, we did hear from President Trump on the tarmac when he landed from the US to Glasgow, and he also criticised Europe over a number of things, including immigration policy. He said Europe needed to get a grip on immigration, and he also criticised the EU for its support of renewable energy, something that's been a bit of a bugbear for President Trump, particularly on another golf course that he's set to officially open on the other coast of Scotland, where he tried to stop the building of wind farms in the area. I'm just going to turn now because my producer's pointing to behind me, and I think the motorcade just went past us behind us, and it's that building there over my shoulder that I'm trying to point at, which is where Ursula von der Leyen is going to be met by President Trump. So who knows whether a deal will be secured today, but clearly it must be serious business because Ursula von der Leyen is here, and so is the US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and the Trade Representative Jameson Greer. So a lot of high-level officials all convening on this tiny village, population of around 200 in Turnberry, all to try and come to an agreement. And then, of course, Monday's a big day here as well because the British Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, is coming here as well. Donald Trump on Friday saying everybody wants to come to Turnberry. Well, quite a few people are going to be here, of course. And I'm just turning around again just to see if we can see anything else. But eventually we will maybe see the cars arriving here for that official welcome before those trade talks get underway.
Rajini, we are just looking at another shot, very long zoom on the shot we're looking at of the building, probably waiting for the cars to pull up outside the building in Ursula von der Leyen's motorcade. But Rajini, I mean, this is not Donald Trump's state visit to the UK. That's happening in September, but this is far from a leisure trip, isn't it?
Well, exactly. I mean, Karen, this was billed as a private visit for the president, but it's become less of a golfing holiday, less of a trip to promote his business interests, because that's another thing he's going to be doing next week. He's going to be officially opening another golf course in Scotland, and it's become a bit of a working visit, really, hasn't it? Because this trip this visit, I should say, for Ursula von der Leyen, that was not originally in the diary when it was announced on Friday before the president landed here. So he's got that. He's also got the meeting, as I mentioned there, Karen, with Sir Keir Starmer, and he's meeting Scotland's First Minister as well, John Swinney, which could be an interesting one because during the election campaign last year, John Swinney said he openly supported Kamala Harris.
Right. Yes, that will be interesting. Regini, for the moment, as we watch Turnberry, the resort, the golf course there in Scotland, for the moment, thanks very much. And we'll be back there when we see Ursula von der Leyen. Now, Greece is continuing to battle 5 major wildfires across the country. There's a severe heat wave and extreme temperatures are expected to continue. They're forecast to reach 44 Celsius on Sunday. Firefighters are focusing their efforts on 2 major fires on the islands of Kythera and Evia. 130 aircraft have been deployed. Progress has been reported against one of the biggest of the blazes. New evacuation alerts were issued on Sunday, ordering people living in several villages to leave. Now let's have a look at today's sport, and it's over to Mark. Hello, Mark.
Good afternoon. Yes, we are less than an hour away from the final of Euro 2025. It is England against Spain, and the teams are in. England make just one change to their side. Jess Carter returns to the team in the place of Esme Morgan. Michelle Aguiman, who's been so impactful from the bench throughout the tournament, is again amongst the subs for this clash. In terms of Spain, well, they make 2 alterations to their side. Leia Alexandri is back from suspension. She's in. And Atenea del Castillo also comes into the starting 11. There's no doubt about it, this is a real heavyweight encounter. Spain are the world champions, England the defending European champions. Sarina Wiegman's side lost when the nations met in Australia 2 years ago, but she insists that this meeting stands alone.
I'm not using that motivation. I think we know each other so well, we respect each other a lot. You can feel that respect from each other. We've played each now in the World Cup, in the Euros, in the Nations League. So we know each other really well. What we're trying to do now is get the best possible game plan and get everyone fit and ready for Sunday so we can make the best decision and play at our best. And then hopefully that will bring us the win.
They are telling us that Spain is moving a lot, watching us, and just to tell them thank you, because that's important for us. But I'm the one that I prefer to leave the phone and not check that much the media, because it doesn't help in the performance.
Well, there's been quite an atmosphere building up in Basel throughout the day, with thousands of England and Spain fans descending on the city ahead of kick-off this evening. But who'll be celebrating in a few hours' time? Lionesses fans are confident that they can overcome the team they lost to in Sydney 2 years ago and retain their European crown.
2-1, take the England win, of course. It's coming home. It's coming home. I do know them, by the way. And we think it's going to be 1-0 extra time. Agyman goal. Hannah Hampton, some great saves. England for the win.
Obviously, Spain are a hard opponent, but I believe we're pretty good, so I think we can do it.
They have waited till the last minute and sometimes looked a bit doubtful, but I think they'll do it.
In golf, England's Lottie Wood has claimed her first professional victory on debut as she won the Women's Scottish Open title. She was still an amateur less than 2 weeks ago and becomes only the second woman in 74 years to win their first LPGA tournament as a professional. With 5 birdies today, Wood stayed ahead of the chasing pack, holding off South Korea's Kim Hyo-joo to take the title by 3 shots. India have a narrow lead in the 4th test at Old Trafford. They lost the wickets of KL Rahul and Shubman Gill earlier in the day, but half-centuries from Ravindra Jadeja and Washington Sundar have seen them move to 339 for 4. They are now 28 runs ahead. In tennis, and the men's final at the Washington Open later, we'll see Alejandro Davidovich Fokina face Australia's Alex de Minaur. De Minaur beat Corentin Moutet in straight sets in his semi-final as he aims to win his 10th ATP title. Davidovich Fokina got past the world number 8, Ben Shelton. In terms of the women's competition, Anna Kalinskaya prevented a rematch of the 2021 US Open final by beating Emma Raducanu in straight sets. She will now play Canada's Leylah Fernandez. And the Belgian Grand Prix is underway. Now, the start was delayed because of heavy rain in Spa. Lando Norris started on pole. You can follow that and the final stages of the Tour de France over on the BBC Sport website right now. But for now, that's all your sport for the time being.
Thank you very much. Now, staying with one particular sporting story, just over half an hour until the Euro 2025 final in Basel. We were about to go over to Basel, but the line has just frozen to Emma Vardy. I'm wondering if I can just tell you, though, about our live page that we've got up and running on that final, which is going to kick off at 5 p.m. UK time, 6 p.m. Basel time. Let's just show you the fan zone in Wembley, which has been so popular, all tickets sold out just for the fan zone. And it's really, really excitable and full of atmosphere down there. We've just been hearing from our reporter Emily Brown, who's been talking to fans. A really, really great place to watch England face world champions Spain in that final, which is kicking off at 5 p.m. And the live page that we've got up and running is pretty good because you can put your prediction into the live page, and then you can also see how other people have predicted it and your percentage as opposed to other predictions. At the moment, the most popular prediction is England 2, Spain 1, and I think it's 28% of people, 28% of people predicting on the BBC live page have said that England will win 2-1. Closely, well, not that closely followed, but 12% of people are predicting Spain will win 2-1. So go on, have a go at that and see what your predictions are. Now let's show you another live shot that we've got. This is Scotland, Turnberry, where Donald Trump has his golf resort, you can see, because a huge security operation is on display there. He's been playing golf. This is the second day he's been there, and any moment now, we expect him to meet the European Commission President, Ursula von der Leyen. We've seen her motorcade on its way to Turnberry, and they are going to discuss a possible trade deal between the United States and the European Union. Minutes after he arrived in Scotland on Friday, Mr. Trump talked about the potential for a deal being reached with the EU, telling reporters that there was a 50-50 chance of reaching an agreement. Brussels, he claimed, wanted to make a deal very badly. But senior EU officials are also sounding positive about the prospect of establishing at least the framework of some kind of trade deal. We'll be back there when anything happens. Back soon.
It's an incredibly alluring and attractive place to go. I was really excited to visit somewhere that's so hard to get to, somewhere that so little is known about. It's absolutely crucial that we understand what is happening at Thwaites Glacier, because what happens in Antarctica is all our futures. Only 4 people had ever been there before, so it's all the more important that we get there with our cameras and show people the changes that are taking place.
So we've been filming out here for an hour and a half, and this is the result. And it gives you an idea of why it's so hard to operate here.
But there's also a story about getting to where we're going, about telling the story of what it's like to be there. It took us 5 weeks to get to the front of the glacier, and because of all the delays, what I didn't expect was to be camping on ice for 5 weeks.
It has taken years of preparation to get the scientists out here. Only by taking measurements here can we hope to get accurate predictions of how sea level is going to rise in the future.
This is a really important story. This is something people need to know. Every coastline in the world will be changed by what happens in that part of Antarctica.
It's shocking, and you know, we should all be upset by what's happening here.
So I found it incredibly emotional to see the changes that were happening, but at the same time really reassuring to see this collective scientific effort to understand what's happening. And if we can understand it, we can do something about it.
You're with BBC News. I'm Karen Giannoni. The headlines. Aid distribution is increasing in Gaza through Israeli and international airdrops, as well as UN truck deliveries. International pressure's been mounting on Israel to allow aid in as the number of Gazans dying from malnutrition goes up. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has arrived in Scotland on her way to Turnberry, hoping to strike an EU trade deal with the US during talks with President Trump. Firefighters in Turkey and Greece are using all available resources to battle a series of wildfires across the eastern Mediterranean. The excitement is really building. Well, it's probably peaked in Basel as we count down to the Lionesses' title defence against world champion Spain in the UEFA Women's Euro 2025 final in less than half an hour's time. Let's return to what's going on in Scotland. President Trump has been there now for a couple of days. He's on a private trip to his golf resorts, but it is turning into quite an important business trip. He's about to meet the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, and Rajini Vaidyanathan is also there. Rajini, what do we know so far? We did see a motorcade approaching at some point in the last half hour.
Yeah, that's right. In the building just over my shoulder here, we understand that Ursula von der Leyen has now arrived on site, and we are expecting to see her and President Trump on camera in the next few minutes or so as their meeting gets underway. We are expecting that before they go into those talks to try and broker an EU-US trade deal, they'll give some remarks in front of the camera, and of course we will bring that to our viewers live on BBC News. I mean, there is a lot at stake, Karen. We know that President Trump has set a deadline of the 1st of August for countries that haven't already brokered a deal with him over his tariffs, which he announced earlier in the year. And if they don't, then they'll get the higher rates of tariffs that were announced. So this is all about trying to reduce that 30% tariff, which has been set for the EU for most goods, to come down. And the expectation that we are hearing that if those talks go to plan, they could halve that to 15% for the EU. It's hugely significant because these two are big trading partners with each other. But there's also politics, really, because the relationship between the US and the EU hasn't been as easy as it could have been since President Trump returned to office earlier in the year, particularly, for example, on the issue of Ukraine. And what we saw in the last hour or so was a post on X from Ursula von der Leyen saying that she'd just spoken to President President Zelensky of Ukraine. So quite a lot in the mix to discuss it all. I'm joined by our correspondent Will Vernon, who's been monitoring it all. So first of all, let's talk about these talks. We know that the pair are set to meet. This wasn't on the initial agenda for this weekend in Turnberry, but it gives you a sign of the gravity of these talks that Ursula von der Leyen has come to this very remote village in Scotland to try and thrash out a deal.
I mean, it suggests, doesn't it, that some sort of deal is pretty close. The fact that, this was a private visit, a golfing weekend, although, Mr. Trump did have some other bilateral or political meetings scheduled, but this was all seemed to be arranged rather last minute. We know that US officials, senior US officials, negotiators flew into Scotland, didn't we, for these talks. Ursula von der Leyen also only announcing she was coming here on Friday. So it does suggest that perhaps a deal is close. And I think that's a deal that both sides want because these are both incredibly important trading partners to each other, especially, America to the EU. America is the EU's biggest trading partner.
And Will, when President Trump arrived on the tarmac here in Scotland, he said there was a 50-50 chance of a deal, but he talked about there being a number of sticking points. He didn't specify what they were, but what would you say they could be?
Well, firstly, obviously it's all about trade, right? We know that. So I think, firstly, steel. President Trump has said that he won't budge on steel, that he's going to impose these very high tariffs across the board on steel and aluminium. That's something that a lot of EU businesses are incredibly worried about. It's something that Ursula von der Leyen, I'm sure, will be raising with President Trump, or at least her negotiators will be. We also know it's something that Sir Keir Starmer's, concerned about. Probably more likely than not will raise in his talks with President Trump tomorrow. Pharmaceuticals is a huge industry in the EU. Again, President Trump has threatened to impose very high levies on those, but also car manufacturing, and that is absolutely vital, right? Because President Trump, remember, has already introduced interim levies on European Union goods coming into the US. They are already in place, and for example, very recently, the head of Volkswagen said that those interim tariffs have already cost his company $1 billion. I mean, these are incredibly, painful financial penalties that a lot of these European businesses are paying because of these high tariffs. So I think that car manufacturers specifically, they will be looking for European Union negotiators to get a really good deal for them, because that could potentially be talking about many, many billions of dollars if we get to a point on August the 1st when there is 30% tariffs imposed as President Trump has threatened.
Just want to ask you about the tweet, the post on X that we saw from Ursula von der Leyen, saying that she'd spoken to President Zelensky. The timing is interesting. She posted that just as she was on her way here.
Yeah, and this was about a recent scandal in Ukraine where President Zelensky's administration pushed through a bill in Parliament to basically remove the independence from two key anti-corruption agencies. And that led to a lot of criticism, a lot of protests at home, but also criticism from foreign donors. Of course, the absolutely key foreign donor now is the European Union, since the Trump administration has taken kind of half a step back from supporting Ukraine. It's now the European Union has taken off the majority of that work. So there was a lot of criticism for Zelensky's administration's decision to basically muzzle those two anti-corruption agencies. Ursula von der Leyen has spoken to President Zelensky about that, but I also expect that she will want to talk about Ukraine in general with President Trump, as will, again, Sir Keir Starmer tomorrow in those talks, because they will want to ensure that President Trump stays the course with Ukraine. We saw, didn't we, earlier this month when President Trump shifted and he, kind of backed Ukraine, expressed more support for Ukraine, said that America would provide weapons that the Europeans would pay for the Ukrainians, also threatened to put 200% tariffs on any countries that are doing business with Russia. So really kind of, backed Ukraine, doubled down on his support for Ukraine. And I think that Sir Keir Starmer and Ursula von der Leyen will want to make sure that he doesn't back away from that, especially in the light of this scandal in Kiev, in Ukraine, because of course that's a gift to those who want to convince President Trump that it's not worth backing Ukraine and that Zelensky's a bad guy.
Okay, well then, and for the moment, thank you very much. So lots on the agenda, but of course all eyes on whether they can come closer to a trade agreement. And just a reminder of the rest of the schedule for the coming day. So that meeting, of course, due to get underway any time now between Ursula von der Leyen and President Trump here at Turnberry. On Monday, President Trump will be welcoming the British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer here to Turnberry. They will then travel to the other coast, the east coast of Scotland, to Aberdeenshire. President Trump set to open another golf course there in Menny in Aberdeenshire, and he's also due to meet Scotland's First Minister John Swinney as well.
Rajini, thank you very much. Rajini Vaidyanathan in Scotland. Now, after weeks of international pressure, Israel's begun expanding aid operations in Gaza. A number of border crossings have been opened to allow more lorries with supplies to enter the territory, and there's been an airdrop. The Israeli military says it's observing a tactical pause in 3 parts of the territory: Al-Mawazi, Deir al-Balah and Gaza City. All this after aid agencies warned of mass starvation taking hold. Imad Kudai is a local journalist from Al-Mawazi in the south of the Strip, and he's been telling us about the recent airdrops and the dangers involved for those on the ground.
Well, the situation is not that much different, actually, but let us say that today is better than the last time I appeared here in an interview to BBC News Channel. People are still suffering from starvation, but right now the situation is a little bit better. Maybe you managed to get a piece of bread at the moment after allowing hundreds of trucks of food and other medical supplies to be reaching Gaza. Of course, today, after the Egyptian side took the permission from Israel and after the humanitarian truce, Israeli military forces started to announce in too many places here in Gaza, like Al-Mawazi, the west of Khan Yunis, where I talked to you from, and Deir al-Balah and Gaza City. So the situation has started to be good a little bit, but the problem that we face is due to the huge number of hungry people following the trucks wherever they go when they get their path to the stores of the humanitarian organizations is still the same. A lot of the trucks have been seized by huge numbers of hungry people, and thieves here, groups of thieves are attacking those trucks, so they do not get the chance in order to be saved in the stores of the humanitarian organizations until they distribute them between the people that need here in too many places, and a huge number of people are in need to those trucks. So today, really good news we got from the Egyptian Red Crescent, which is in the few coming days, they are going to allow more and more trucks to be reaching Gaza, which is going to decrease the volume of the starvation we started to suffer from in the last days recently. And, the name of this, convoy is A Bright Food from Egypt to Gaza. Something else we can describe, and we have seen by our eyes from here, the sky of Al-Mawazi, the humanitarian planes dropping aid in the sky of Al-Mawazi. We have seen too many planes coming, but the problem is the most of those, packages have dropped from the sky did fall in militarized places where if you go there, you will put yourself in a very big risk. And those places are evacuated under the Israeli control. So it's really risky to go to those places where the packages from the planes fell down.
Right, so you are seeing aid being dropped from the sky, but what you're saying is where that aid lands isn't always possible for people to get to safely.
Well, because of a lot of hungry people, we do not blame them, actually, because some families and thousands of families did not manage in the last maybe month or the last 2 months to get a piece of bread. So this is understandable for people suffering from starvation for a long time to go there. But the problem is some of the thieves, those thieves are maybe sometimes militant. They attack the trucks, and those things should be controlled by the permission will be taken from the Israeli military forces. What this permission is about is to provide the protection units of Gaza, the security guards, to go and secure those trucks to be reaching the stores of the humanitarian organization safely. Because whenever those protection units appear in the front of the drones of the Israeli military forces, they have been targeted many times. So right now, it is really difficult with not taking the permission from Israel to protect those trucks again, because the security guards, the protection units are afraid of this kind of step.
Imad, what has it been like personally for you to get access to food over recent days? How difficult has it been?
It's like something I miss so much, actually, some types of food. Still, the prices are really high when you go to the market because some of the merchants started to get the goods they have hidden for a long time in order to control the high prices here in the markets. But right now we can manage a little bit food from the community kitchen. Sometimes some initiatives here in my camp have been run, run by some of the charity workers. So we managed to get a piece of bread after a long time. And that was really very happy moment. Like my stomach did not receive those kind of this kind of a bread for a long time. So today I started to feel a little bit energy in my body. I can focus. I can do my reports with no feeling dizzy as what I suffered from for the last 2 weeks, maybe.
Imad Kudai, a journalist speaking to me from Al Mawazi in Gaza. Well, let's get more now on the Women's Euro 2025 final. England take on Spain in just a matter of minutes' time. Let's talk to former England player Gemma Davison. Gemma, thank you so much for talking to us so close to the match itself. How are your emotions?
I'm confident. Let's just get to 5 o'clock and then we'll chat.
OK, hopefully we can chat a bit more before 5 o'clock. I mean, you played for England 17 times between 2009 and 2017. And what do you make of the England team as it is right now?
I think they've shown great character. We all know the performances haven't been where we wanted them to be, but I think they've come through strong each game. And I think they'll take massive positivity and the team spirit will be really high. So, just as long as they're really switched on defensively against a team that are going to dominate the ball, they need to stay in the game and let's see what England team show up.
How do you think Sarina Wiegman will play it? Will it be any different, her tactics, compared to what the last couple of matches, which have tested people's nerves to the absolute limit?
I think we know Spain are they're great on the ball. They're going to possess the ball. I think she'll be making sure the team are very, very organised defensively. Spain have the ability to unlock doors and pick you apart possession-wise. So they'll have to be really compact and counter. Spain usually play a high line. So I think the likes of Lauren Hemp will be a massive danger for Spain.
Right. You keep mentioning the word defence. That is going to be seriously important.
It's seriously important. We all know the Spanish, the Barcelonas, are very, very good on the ball. They've got some brilliant footballers. They've got Bonmati, Putellas, Pina, all really good on the ball. They're happy to share the ball till gaps appear. So I think it's a matter of England being patient, biding their time, staying in the game. And then the longer the game goes on, we see England always strengthen.
Now, you coached Michelle Adjemang, who is playing today when she was with Arsenal under-16s. She's only 19 now, but she's doing so well. How proud are you to see her playing as she is?
I mean, she's 19 years old. She was 15, 16 when I had the pleasure of coaching Michelle. I mean, her physical presence is obviously a real problem. And I don't think the senior stage has seen Michelle at her best yet. But I think, obviously, she's carrying herself as a real senior international at the moment, providing game-changing moments and really stepping up to the occasion. So, you look at her, she's interviewing, she's humble, she's professional, she's born for the stage. And I think Spain will definitely fear her if she comes off the bench, which I'm sure she will.
The fact that England lost to Spain in the World Cup, I mean, how much does that weigh on their minds going into a completely new match in a completely new tournament?
I don't think England will fear Spain. I said that, as before, I said they're well experienced. A lot of the players in the England team have played plenty of games against Spain, the likes of Lucy Bronze, Leah Williamson. I don't think it's going to weigh too much. England have had so much success over the last few years. I think they'll be confident, especially with the journey they've had in the tournament. The confidence is going up and up and up. As I say, they strengthen towards the back end of games every single time.
And just taking a step back, Gemma, what do you make of the rise of women's football? Record-breaking attendances we're seeing more and more now. And literally you walk past people in the streets the day after a match and you hear them talking about the night before.
Yeah, this is the game's grown a lot more from when I was in my prime. So it's brilliant to see. I think you've got to really look at the quality and how it's gone up and how much hard work people are doing behind the scenes to grow the level of the game and invest more money. And I think, you've got England, constantly producing performances and getting to finals. And I think the more successful they are and the more successful English teams are, the more people are going to pay interest, and you're seeing it right now, and it's incredible. I'm jealous, really.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how it is. I mean, you played for England so many times. When you see a moment like this, how much do you wish you were there?
Oh, of course. I mean, every player would love to be playing, at the level it is now. I mean, I have the luxury of working with Chelsea women every day and working with the best players in the world, and just to be a part of it and join in at times. I'm not as fit as I used to be, but the level's great. I'm just proud of where the game's got to, and to be working within it is fantastic. So, and it's on the up, and I don't see it falling anytime soon, for sure.
I'm going to cheekily ask you for a score prediction.
I think if England are really, really resilient and they're really defensively sound, I think they could probably. I think we'll go 2-1 England.
2-1 England. That is a popular choice. Gemma, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for talking to us so close to the actual match itself. Gemma Davison, who played for England 17 times. Appreciate you being with us.
Thank you very much.
Let's just show you what is going on in Wembley. At Box Park in Wembley, it's absolutely rammed and tickets sold out. It is a real event in its own right to be there watching the action. The build-up is amazing, and our reporter Emily Brown is there. I hope she can hear me. We're going to try and talk to Emily. Emily, over to you.
Yeah, just about. It's very noisy and very lively here at Box Park in Wembley. Tickets here have sold out for the screening of the final, and there are so many excited fans, and I've got a few of them who join me now. Girls, how are you feeling? Excited. Who's going to win?
I think England. Pardon?
Who's going to win?
England. England.
And have you enjoyed the Euros?
Yes.
What's been the favourite moment for you?
England beating Italy. I loved when Chloe Kelly scored her goal.
What about you? What's been your favourite moment?
My favourite moment was when they beat the countries to continent finals. When they scored.
And who are your favourite players?
Lauren James. My favourite's Lauren Ham. Chloe Kelly. Lauren James.
Why Lauren James?
Because she's such a good player on the pitch, and she's played immaculate in the Euro season. I think Chloe Kelly, she's just really fast and she scores loads of goals.
And Claire, what about you? Who's your favourite player?
Georgia Stanway. Georgia Stanway.
Why?
I just love the football she played, and I've just watched her all the way through, and I just enjoy it.
And what have you thought about the tournament so far?
I think it's good. I don't feel we played as good as some of our other games previously, but whatever we've done seems to have worked.
You've seen the lineup. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the lineup?
Yeah, it's a good lineup, and I'm sure Serena will bring on her super subs.
Any players missing from the lineup that you'd like to see in there?
No, I'm happy with it.
Yeah. And what about Serena Beekman and her tactics? What about Serena Beekman and her tactics?
I like her. I think she knows what she's doing.
Yeah. Right, I want score predictions from everyone. What do you think the score's going to be?
2-1 England. Score prediction.
What's the score going to be?
2-3 England and 0. I think it's going to be 2-1 England. 2-1. Definitely 2-1 to England.
So England's going to win?
Yeah!
And what are you going to do when England wins?
Woo!
Oh, very excited there. Everyone here is so excited in Wembley. And the countdown is on. Just a few minutes to go until the final.
Okay, Emily, thank you. It's so noisy. Oh, those girls were amazing. They could have carried on talking right to the end. We wouldn't have needed to do our jobs. There's the Box Park. From above, you can just see how popular it is. It really, really is a great atmosphere there. It is just under 7 minutes until kick-off now in that Euro 2025 final, and the atmosphere is so good in so many places. We were just seeing in Basel the atmosphere where the match is taking place itself, the fans that have been gathering in the fan zone and in the Old Town, and so many people who have travelled for this event. Women's football really on the up. Let's also show you what's going on in Scotland on a totally different matter. This is the scene in Turnberry. This is Donald Trump's golf resort. And we know Ursula von der Leyen, the European Commission President, has arrived. She is meeting Donald Trump to talk about a trade deal between the EU and the United States. And Donald Trump, when he arrived in Scotland for this golf trip, this private trip, which is ending up turning into a very business and diplomacy-rich trip rather than just a private visit. He's been talking about a 50-50 chance of doing a trade deal with the European Union. At the moment, the EU is facing 30% tariffs on its exports to the United States. They are really hoping, producers of all sorts of goods in the European Union are hoping that that can be negotiated down. So Donald Trump saying he thinks there's a 50-50 chance of that happening. But just to let you know what Ursula von der Leyen has said when she arrived, just a couple of lines coming in. She's talking about Ukraine and she's talking about a conversation with President Zelensky, saying that Ukraine must preserve independent anti-corruption bodies as a cornerstone of the rule of law. She's been talking to President Zelensky and as she arrived in Scotland, just mentioning what their conversation had been about very controversial new law introduced uniting two different anti-corruption bodies in Ukraine. These are the pictures from earlier of Ursula von der Leyen's motorcade coming in. But look, there they are. We have the pictures sitting down there with Donald Trump. These are just coming in to us now. And Ursula von der Leyen just posing for pictures. We don't think they're talking. It's just a photo opportunity. Donald Trump.
Well, thank you very much. It's a beautiful Sunday in Scotland, and we thought we could cut things short and certainly travel distance, right, by having our meeting here. So we discuss options, and it's an honor to have the President of the European Union with us. Ursula's been really done a terrific job for them, not for us, but she's done a great job. And she's highly respected by us also. And we look forward to talking to see if we can do something. We've had a very good relationship over the years, but it's been a very one-sided transaction, very unfair to the United States. And I think both sides want to see a bit fairness, but it's been a very, very one-sided deal, and it shouldn't be. And so we're here with her very brilliant staff, and hopefully we'll resolve a few issues. It's a great honor. You know, we just built this ballroom, and we're building a great ballroom at the White House. The White House has wanted a ballroom for 150 years, but they never had a real estate person. You know, no president knew how to build a ballroom. But this just opened, you know, relatively short time ago, and it's been quite the success. And I think I was just saying I could take this one, drop it right down there, and it would be beautiful. This is exactly what they've wanted. But it's an honor to have you at the new ballroom at Turnberry. And thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you very much for inviting me here. Indeed, it is today about trade between the European Union and the United States. We're together the two largest economies worldwide.
Right.
If you look at the trade volume, it's the biggest trade volume globally, with $1.7 trillion among us. And if you look at our markets, it's a huge. Take the United States and the European Union. So I'm very much looking forward to the discussions we will have now. Our staff have done some of the heavy lifting, but now it's on us.
Yeah.
And you're known as a tough negotiator and deal maker. What is in front and fair. And what is in front of us?
That's less important.
If we are successful, I think it would be the biggest deal each of us has ever struck. So I'm very much looking forward.
Ever struck by anybody? That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Right now we have that that honor goes to Japan. We just struck a deal. I charge tariffs, and you know, it's not a deal per se, but people are going to pay tariffs, and we're doing them at the low end, not the high end, because we don't want to hurt anybody. And pretty well, but you and I both figured this is really the biggest trading partnership in the world, so we should give it a shot, right?
Yeah. Very much looking forward to that.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do too. Any questions, please?
On Friday, put the chances of a deal at 50%, maybe less. It seems like you're in quite a good mood. How would you rate those chances now?
I'm actually not in a good mood, but I will tell you, I think the chances are, yeah, I think Ursula would say, probably 50-50 of making a deal. I hope, you know, I'd like to make a deal. I think it's good for both, but it's a 50-50.
And what would you say the main sticking points are in this move?
We have 3 or 4 sticking points. I'd rather not get in. We'll be discussing them. But I think the main sticking point is fairness. Okay? Please.
Why are you in a bad mood? Is it a bad morning of golf, or why are you not in a good mood?
No, the golf was beautiful. Golf can never be bad, even if you play badly. It's still good. If you had a bad day on the golf course, it's okay. It's better than other days. But no, I think I look forward to this meeting. You know, we've had a hard time with trade with Europe, very hard time, and I'd like to see it resolved. But if it isn't, we'll, you know, have tariffs, and they'll do what they have to do. But we have a good chance of getting it resolved. We'll probably know in about an hour. Shouldn't take that long. It's, you know, it's complicated, but not really complicated when you get right down to it, right?
Is there any chance that gets...
No. The August 1st is there for everyone. The deals all start on August 1st. Most of the deals, other than steel and aluminum, which we've been getting 50% tariffs from, I guess, just about everybody, and those have come in, and we've taken in, you know, hundreds of billions of dollars just on steel and aluminum. You've seen the numbers. We had a tremendous amount of money coming over the last month, and it's coming in, you know, very rapidly, which is fair. We have a lot of steel mills and plants, aluminum mills and plants being built. We have a lot of AI being built, and we have a lot of auto plants being built or going to be built because they don't want to pay tariffs. So, you know, if they don't want to pay tariffs, the best way to do it is just build your plant in the United States. Yes, please.
Sir, what do you expect from the Europeans in terms of opening their markets to American products?
Well, we just about don't have any. I don't think we have any product we can't sell. I guess you could get a little bit cute with chips, but that's, you know, a little bit different category too. No, you know, Europe is closed. We don't sell cars into Europe. We don't sell essentially agriculture of any great degree. They want to have their farmers do it, and they want to have their car companies do it. I'm not saying anything that nobody knows. We have a rough situation. If we want to sell cars in Europe, we're not allowed to. And as you know, they sell millions and millions of cars, Mercedes, BMW, so many different, Volkswagen, so many different cars, and so many millions of cars. I would imagine number one, I didn't look at that, but I would imagine number one by far, more so than even Japan. Japan sells a lot of cars too. But the Japan deal worked out very favorable, you know, very good. I hope for them too. And that's what we want to do, make everybody happy. Yes, please.
Should Israel be doing more to allow food into Gaza?
Say it.
Should Israel be doing more to allow food into Gaza?
What did you say?
Should Israel be doing more to allow food into Gaza?
Well, you know, we gave $60 million 2 weeks ago, and nobody even acknowledged it for food. And It's terrible. You know, you really at least want to have somebody say thank you. No other country gave anything. We gave $60 million 2 weeks ago for food for Gaza. And nobody acknowledged it. Nobody talks about it. And it makes you feel a little bad when you do that and, you know, you have other countries not giving anything. None of the European countries, by the way, gave. I mean, nobody gave but us. And nobody said, gee, thank you very much. And it would be nice to have at least a thank you. And I took a lot of heat. You know, when I do that, a lot of people aren't happy about that because they say, well, why are we doing it and nobody else? But I think we had a humanitarian reason for doing it. What's going to happen? I don't know. I can tell you that Hamas, as I said, would happen at the end. You know, we've gotten back a lot of hostages, a tremendous number of hostages, most of them. Now we have dead hostages, and the mothers want them back, and we have 20 people approximately, but that are living. But we have a lot of bodies, and the parents want those bodies as much as they would want their child if that child were alive. Sir, please get my son back. How is your son doing? Well, he's dead, but they have his body. And it's so important. It's more important. It's almost like more, but it's as important as if the child were living. These people were, I mean, they're devastated. And I said, when you get it down to a certain number, you're not going to be able to make a deal with Hamas. Because once they give them up, then they feel that that's going to be the end of them. And what I said is exactly true. You know, they had a routine discussion the other day, and all of a sudden they hardened up. They don't want to give them back. And so Israel's going to have to make a decision. I know what I do, but I don't think it's appropriate that I say, but Israel's going to have to make a decision.
Mr. President, when you were in the Middle East, you talked about the images coming out of Gaza and starving kids. Those images are still going. Many of them are much worse. Thinner children starving. What do you see or feel when you look at those images today?
Well, it's terrible. You know, when I see the children, and when I see, especially over the last couple of weeks, and people are stealing the food, they're stealing the money, they're stealing the money for the food, they're stealing weapons, they're stealing everything. It's a mess. That whole place is a mess. The Gaza Strip, you know, was given many years ago so that they could have peace. That didn't work out too well. When Israel gave that up, whoever was the prime minister at the time, who I know who it was, but it was not exactly a very clever thing to do, because that was given so that they finally have peace, and it's actually made the situation worse. But we'll see what happens. I think Iran is acting up. I think that we have a lot of people acting. We have Venezuela acting up in a different way. They continue to send people that we rebuff to our border. They continue to send drugs into our country. Venezuela. We do have, and this is just getting a little off subject, but we have now the safest border we've ever had. And I think in many respects we probably have the most successful. And I say it all the time. Every leader, when I went to NATO the other day, every leader said, you have the hottest country in the world. We have the hottest country in the world now. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. We have the highest stock market we've ever had. We have the best numbers we've ever had. But we have hundreds of billions of dollars pouring into our country. And I think it's the hottest. And by the way, 1 year ago, our country was dead. We had a dead country because of an incompetent president and incompetent Democrats. All they know how to do is talk and think about conspiracy theories and nonsense. If they'd waste their time talking about America being great again, it would be so much nicer, so much easier, be very successful. But we were a dead country, and now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. Yeah. Any other question?
President Trump, on this particular deal, if you manage to do a deal today, will that be the end of the matter, or could there be more tariffs coming, particularly on fire?
No, if we do a deal today with the European Union, that will be the end of it. Yeah, we'll go, I guess, a number of years at least before we have to even discuss it again. No, that would be the end of it. And this is the biggest deal. People don't realize This is bigger than any other deal. We have great countries. I'm familiar with many of them. So are you. And this is really the biggest deal. This is I guess we're the biggest out there, and they're the second. And when we come together, this will be the biggest deal. If that happens, and it could happen, should happen. Okay? Thank you.
Will pharmaceuticals be part of today's?
No, it won't. Pharmaceuticals will be, I mean, could be, we'll do something, but basically pharmaceuticals won't be part of it because we have to have them built, made in the United States, and we want them made in the United States. And I think it's easy to say, and I think it's important to say pharmaceuticals are now, Europe is going to make pharmaceuticals, drugs, and everything else for us, too, a lot. But we're going to have also our own.
A question for President von der Leyen, please.
Yes.
Can you give your assessment of what you feel the chances are of deal? The President just talked about a 50-50 chance, and the biggest obstacle being fairness. What would you say are those things for you?
I think the President is right. We have a 50 to 50% chance to strike a deal. And indeed, it is about rebalancing. So you can call it fairness, you can call it rebalancing. We have a surplus, the United States has a deficit, and we have to rebalance it. We have an excellent trade relation. It's a huge volume of trade that we have together. So we will make it more sustainable.
Mr. Trump, can you do better than 15% tariff rate for the EU?
Better meaning lower?
Yeah.
No.
Mr. President, to return to Gaza, you're going to meet the British Prime Minister tomorrow. He's going to ask you to consider again peace talks between Israel and Hamas. Are you now saying there is no point in trying to...
Well, we're meeting about a lot of things. We have our trade deal, and it's been a great deal. It's good for them and good for us, I think. You know, the UK is very happy. They've been trying for 12 years to get it, and they got it. And it's a great trade deal for both. It works out very well. But we'll be discussing that. I think we're going to be discussing a lot about Israel. They're very much involved in terms of wanting something to happen. He's doing a very good job, by the way.
Also in Gaza, sir, did you speak with Prime Minister Netanyahu this weekend about getting more aid to Gaza?
I talked to him, yeah, I did. I talked to him about a lot of things. I talked to him about Iran. I think Iran's been very nasty with their words, with their mouth. I think they've been very nasty. They got the hell knocked out of them, and I don't think they know it. You know, I actually don't think they know it. They really do. The whole thing's a con job. We have a lot of con jobs going on. But Iran was beaten up very badly, for good reason. We cannot have them have a nuclear weapon, but they still talk about enrichment. I mean, who would do that? You just come out of something that's so bad, and they talk about, we want to continue enrichment. Who would say that? How stupid can you be to say that? So we're not going to allow that to happen. We're not allowing that to happen.
Did you talk about more aid into Gaza?
Will I do more aid? Yeah. The U.S. is going to do more aid for Gaza. But we'd like to have other countries participate. We're going to mention that to the European Union today. You know, that's an international problem. It's not a U.S. problem. It's an international problem. And we're giving a lot of money and a lot of food and a lot of everything. If we weren't there, I think people would starve. A lot of that food is getting stolen by Hamas. You know, they're stealing the food. They're stealing a lot of things. You ship it in and they steal it. Then they sell it.
On Friday you said that Europe is being crushed by mass migration, and I wonder whether your friends on the other side of the room agree with you on that.
Well, I'd let you respond to that if you'd like.
So we have been working intensively on the topic of irregular migration. And we have, from the very beginning, said that migration is a European challenge that needs a European answer. As Europeans, we will fulfill our international obligations, as we've done in the past, also in the future. But we, as Europeans, are the ones who decide who comes to the European Union and under what circumstances, and not the smugglers and traffickers. That's the principle in which we are working.
I will say this, you know, they did ask me when I got off the plane, immigration, Europe has a tremendous problem, and we do too, but we've sealed our borders. We have nobody coming in, and we have hundreds of thousands of people being taken out, and the bad ones first. And I think we're doing a very good job of that. But we had, I mean, it literally registered 0 people last month. You probably saw that. Nobody. And Europe has a very similar problem. I think they're going to end up in the same place. You might as well go there quicker. And the other thing I say to Europe, we will not allow a windmill to be built in the United States. They're killing us. They're killing the beauty of our scenery, our valleys, our beautiful plains. And I'm not talking about airplanes. I'm talking about beautiful plains, beautiful areas in the United States. And you look up and you see windmills all over the place. You can't really